Welcome to a pivotal moment in the world of broadcast as we proudly present the Men's Mental Health Show featuring the renowned Larry Mabry in collaboration with the Maassen Group. This essential exploration of men's mental health wouldn't be possible without the invaluable support of RainerAvenueRadio.world. Now, let's dive into this crucial conversation with Larry Mabry and the Maassen Group. Your mental well-being matters. Here's Larry Mabry.
Hey, what's going on? Happy December 1st, 2025. On this brisk, nice, crisp day. Just want to check in with everyone. Today, I want us to kind of discuss 50 holiday self-care routines for men. What are routines? Routines are things that we do to kind of set a pace, set a consistency, kind of set the atmosphere as far as how we want things to go. A lot of times, we have things going on. It's like we don't realize that certain routines could actually be more beneficial for us, right? So if you have like a routine of meditation, routine of getting grounded, routine of positive affirmations, things of that nature, you'd be surprised how it just sets the whole, I would say, the whole day. Like you'll notice that your day just goes on a lot smoother. So today I wanted to talk about that. So I just want to tap in with everyone, say hello, what's up? We have 31 days before we end up this year. As we kind of get to this particular year really close, I'm just curious to see what you guys think. How did this year go, right? Did you guys feel like it was a pretty good year? Yes, no? What are some things we could do to kind of help it get better? But today we're going to talk about that, 50 routines. So this time of year, typically people get with family, friends, loved ones, community. We get to kind of reflect as we just finished up Thanksgiving. What are some things you're thankful for, right? I'm really thankful to be here, Seattle, among friends, family, having a renewed mindset. I'm excited, but let's kick into it. All right, 50 holiday self-care routines for men. Okay, these are going to be layered across looking at the physical, the emotional, the social, and the spiritual dimensions. All right, so first thing we want to do, physical. When we wake up, get that good stretch in the morning, get a good stretch when we get going in the morning. Set the tone with some music. It doesn't necessarily have to be holiday music, but something uplifting, inspire you for the day, something to just kind of get you like, ready for the day. I think that's really good. Stretching, just after a long day's rest, you kind of move the body a little bit. That's going to really be beneficial to kind of help you get going on. Next, you take a brisk winter walk. In nature, that's really important. That's going to strengthen up your core, kind of get your mindset flowing as far as your ideas and breathing and that type of thing is really good. Spending some time in nature is going to be very vital as well. Also, too, you want to make sure you hydrate. Make sure you're drinking water, preferably like a lemon water or herbal tea, things of that nature. Balanced holiday meals. Proteins with seasonal veggies is really, really important. Limit your alcohol with meaningful alternatives, like maybe sparkling water. You can look at maybe a mocktail, just water with a little bit of lemon. Some teas are good. Herbal teas are really good. That's going to kind of get you going. Also, make sure you, if you can, get access to like a sauna, a steam room, clear your pores. Fresh air, release, that's going to be really important. Make sure you get a cold shower. Cold shower is going to be important too. It's going to kind of help with the lymph, kind of inspire you, kind of get you going. Ice bath is going to be important. Also reset. One thing that we kind of take for granted too is sleep hygiene. What is that? Making sure you get the ample amount of time of sleep per day. That's going to be really beneficial to kind of get you going. Also skincare, really important. During this type of weather, a lot of times our skin gets a little dry. So it's really important to make sure we have lotion, make sure we have moisturizer, conditioner, things of that nature to minimize ashy hands and legs and feet. Keep the skin nice and moist. It's going to help with feeling a lot better and just kind of the ease as far as grabbing things of that nature. Also, making sure that when you go to bed, it's like a consistent time each time. That could be confusing because typically this time of year, it gets darker sooner. So here it is, 5:30-ish, and we look out and it's pretty dark. So making sure we go to bed at a reasonable hour so we get X amount of time for sleep. That's going to be really important. Also, too, skincare. The beard, make sure you take care of that. Lotion, sunscreen if you need that. Making sure you get, silica, I think is really important for the skin, the collagen, things of that nature. All those things are going to be really important. Journaling, daily journal. What are you going to talk about in your journal? Well, you could talk about things that you're grateful for, right? The fact that you woke up, you're grateful for that. The fact that you have a job, or if you don't have a job, you can be grateful for that. The fact that you got let go from a job, maybe it was too stressful, and now all of a sudden you get a new rejuvenated perspective of that. I want to talk about that for a real quick second, just to kind of take a little detour. So I remember back, I would say in my Michigan days, I was working at a particular teaching institution, and I was going through a transition where basically I was let go from that position. And when I was let go, I was struggling because in my mind, I was thinking, man, what am I going to do if I don't have a job? Not realizing at the time that you can always get another job, right? I think sometimes when we get so attached to things, we get like so caught up on those things, we think that, oh my God, this is the end of the world, but not realizing you can get a job. I mean, there's countless, endless jobs that you can get, right? So you just want to make sure it's something that's in alignment for you. So making sure that you do stuff that you like to do, right? Things that you're grateful for. Meditation with candlelight, with the candles, make sure they could be colorful candles. They could actually be scented candles. That's going to kind of help reduce the scent, or I would say the stress level. Breath work, that's really important too. A lot of times when we're stressed out, we have what we call shattered or lightness of breath. When we're actually relaxed, what happens is we take a breath and we breathe deeply from our diaphragm to make sure we get the flow going. Really, really important. And so I think that that's going to kind of help you as far as your mindset, your focus, and things of that nature. Making sure you're reading uplifting books and poetry. We're going to set boundaries with family gatherings. Practicing saying no without guilt. That's really, really important, Dawn. Let's talk about that. For me, that's really interesting because when you're the oldest son and you have sisters, right? Or if you're the oldest and you have a big family, what's going to happen? Typically, everyone's going to come to you for everything, right? And yes, sometimes you got to stand up and say, okay, yeah, I got you, family member, whatever. But sometimes, you have to set that boundary and say, you know what, I can't do it right now. Okay, why is that important? Well, it's important to make sure you get back to yourself. And sometimes you can get kind of caught up in that trap where you just kind of pulled everything. So again, applying balance, really, really important. So sometimes you got to say no, even though it's that time of year, right? No, not right now, maybe a little bit later. So practice saying that. If you find that you say yes to a lot of things, practice saying no at some points. Okay. Reading uplifting books or poetry is really, really important. Why is that? Because sometimes lyrics, to music or poetry, or really good books or sayings can actually inspire you, right? I remember there's a book that I read that was really, really uplifting for me. Book by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, was really inspirational. And there was another book, I think it was called The Science of, I think, Getting Rich, I believe. And it was Wallace D. Wattles, I think that was important. Another book that I think was really pivotal for me is the Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. And I'll let you guys fill in I'll let you guys fill in the rest with that. But making sure that you guys read certain books to kind of inspire you, to kind of give you some ideas, to kind of help you open up your mindset to different things. Another thing too, was really important too, is visualizing your goals for the new year, right? As we wrap up pretty much the next 31 days, it's like, okay, what's our goal? What are some things we're going to focus on? Visualize that. See in your mind, kind of, what is that going to look like? Affirm tied to masculine stereotypes. So, for example, we have wisdom, we have care, we have strength. Really, really important. So, what are you going to do to become stronger, right? And by that I mean, what are you doing to become stronger mentally, emotionally, physically? What are you doing to become wiser, right? Wiser with your actions, wiser with your thoughts, wiser with how you move. And then what are you going to do to have more care for yourself, right? And care for the community. So there's things that you're doing to show more care. What are you doing, right? Also, therapy and men's group, really, really important. If you guys tapped in a while, I talked about my Jedi Council. Who are you checking into? Are there some key people that you're checking into? Following up, making sure that you guys are staying focused. What are some things that you could do? Right? Really, really important. All right. Another thing too. Now we're going to talk about nourishment and rituals. You're going to cook some wholesome meals, right? Really important. So what are you cooking? So we have this holiday. Are you making some good protein, bean casserole, meatloaf, ham, turkey, whatever? Some sort of nourishing meal for yourself and your family. Ritualized food prep, right? Roasted beets, walnut, salmon, some holiday types of things that have a little bit of color, greens, reds, things of that nature. Supplement tracking, making sure that you guys are having vitamins, proper vitamins. This time of year, you want to make sure you drink a lot of water too, because a lot of times, we can take it for granted because we're not sweating. We think, oh, I'm good to go. But it's important to make sure you're drinking that water. Okay. Also too, mindful eating. So when you eat with intention. What that means is, making sure you bless the food. Make sure you thank the person who cooked it for you. If it's you, if it's a restaurant you went to, the cook, the person who purchased it, if the butcher slaughtered the meat, give thanks, right? Making sure that you say positive things about the food so it can bless you, so it can inspire you, so it can give you the energy that you need. Really, really important. Seasonal smoothies. So cranberries, pomegranate, ginger, almonds, things of that nature. Put different spices in the smoothie, change it up. What about limiting your sugar? So instead of having, a lot of sugar, you might want to use maybe fruits, vegetables, healthy sweets, sharing meals with intention. So if you cook something, maybe offer to somebody, or maybe, trade, with some individual, it could be family, friends, or community. Really important, really, really important. Spiritual way to reflect, making sure you light candles. You can just light a candle to set the intention for what you want for that evening. You want to make sure that you think about who are you as a person, right? So as we get to this end of the year, what are some lessons that you learned, right? Typically, I would say, well, I like to have full disclosure. I would say this past year, one of the things I learned about myself is to make sure that I am showing more love to myself, right? I think that's really important. And so sometimes you have to kind of check out from community and really put and invest in yourself, making sure you work out, making sure that you do certain things. Really, really important. So what are you doing to show love to yourself, right? Really, really important. Writing is important. I talked about the journal, but reflect on certain things. So if you notice that you're weak in a certain area, what are you doing to improve on that area? Find one thing that you can improve on. Acts of generosity. As we roll out, get closer to Christmas, what are some things that you can show more giving? Showing more generosity. So it could be giving of time. It could be giving a helpful hand. It could be financial. For those individuals that look, you can definitely financially support us here at Rainier Avenue, the Maassen Group, or just, hey, Rainier Avenue, or your local community. What are you doing to show generosity towards, your fellow man? Really, really important. What you put out there is what you get back. So if you find that you're giving more, you're going to find it's going to come back to you. Okay. We all have a particular blueprint within our family, our legacy. What are you doing to reflect that legacy? What are you doing to inspire that legacy, right? If you're doing something and you notice that that's going to be beneficial to your family, what are you doing, right? To show that. So if you were to go tomorrow, what are people going to remember you by, right? So make sure you have intention with that. Another one too, we're talking about socializing and relational care, hosting a men's circle, I've been actually thinking about this, and I'm curious to see your feedback. I wanted to have like a little men's retreat, here in Washington, we have so many cool things to get caught up with as far as nature. I wanted us to just kind of come together as men, going on a good hike, spend some quality time together. What are we doing to kind of connect those dots, right? Deep conversations with friends over tea, coffee, milk, right? It could be a non-alcoholic drink of your preference. Practicing intimacy ritual with your partner, spending more quality time with yourself. taking a little bit of time with yourself and asking yourself, okay, what am I going to do a little bit more intently this year to get closer to myself or closer with a loved one, that type of thing. Scheduling downtime after social events. A lot of times, we have these social events and we're going. What are you doing to schedule some time and just relax, breathe, process? Really, as my mom used to say, stop and smell the roses, right? What are you doing to acknowledge that, right? Really important. Offering mentorship to younger men, right? For those people that know, I actually do mentoring with my program as well as work with other organizations. But also I'm looking to connect with other people too. So make sure you guys tap in, see what we can do to work together. But mentorship, that's really, really important because that's going to allow you to synchronize your skills, right? If you have certain skills that you have, you can connect with other people. They have other skills and you guys mirror each other. It provides a little bit of support to community, right? All right. Setting up a tech-free dinner, really important. That means that the phones are put aside, laptops are put aside. You're really working on your social skills, looking a person in their eye, and really having that social interaction. I think that's important. I think in this day and age with technology, we kind of forget that emotional, heartfelt connection. So make sure we do things of that nature. Okay. Rest and recovery. Let's talk about that. So what are you doing to give yourself like afternoon nap? Without guilt, sometimes we can work so hard, we forget to play hard too, right? Having that balance. Cozy reading corner setup, back in the day, I remember in elementary school, we used to have people come in, they used to read to the kids. I remember when I was younger, we would go to the drive-in. I don't even know if they exist anymore, but, reading, listening to other people read. Back in Detroit too, used to go to this place called Baker's Lounge where they had jazz. Nice little cozy spot, pretty good food. You would sit there, just listen to the jazz and bob your head. Little smoke, little filled little room. Beautiful, right? You get a chance to just kind of vibe. Poetry or aromatherapy, right? It could be candles. It could be certain perfumes, certain scents. Lavender is really important because that puts you in a state of kind of healing. Frankincense is important. Different cinnamon, popcorn, things like that just kind of put you in a healing, tranquil place, things of that nature. What about yoga? Going back to the stretching, right? Yoga, putting your body in different positions, getting you stronger, getting you to work your flexibility, right? Where are you in your life where you're not very flexible? So working out those kinks to become more flexible in life. Musical theory, really, really important, or musical therapy, I should say. I would say for me, that has probably been the main thing that kind of helped me along my journey. Listen to music pretty much every day. Why is music important? Well, music, what I like about it is it kind of transcends your initial mindset. And I'll give you examples. So how like you're doing work, you're working on stuff, and maybe you hear a commercial or a little jingle, and then you notice like a couple weeks or a couple days later, you singing a jingle. You're like, man, why am I singing this? Why is this in my head? Yeah, what I like about music is you can play some positive music and it can go past like your mindset and kind of hit your subconscious and kind of get you thinking about some things to inspire you. So you want to make sure you're mindful of the music that you have around you. Really, really important, especially this time of year. It kind of puts you in that mood to set that precedent, to set that energy, to set that foundation. Really, really important. Also this time of year too, as we roll out, coming to the close of this year, decluttering. For those people that know, I just moved. So I moved up to Briar area from Renton, and definitely a lot of decluttering. One thing you notice when you move is all the stuff that you had, you're like, oh man, half the stuff you don't even need. And I'm moving to like a smaller place, so some of the stuff just doesn't apply. So just donating a lot of stuff. But what I like about that is you feel lighter. A lot of that time, a lot of space, a lot of stuff that we keep, we keep our mindset on it. It kind of makes our mind tired. So as we kind of release those things, we feel lighter. So make sure you declutter and come up with a system that's a little bit more organized, a little bit more efficient. That's going to be very, very beneficial. Also, too, celebrating the small wins with community, right? So I just want to say I want to thank Columbia City Theater. Also want to thank the community here in Washington. Want to thank my mentors. Want to thank the Maassen Group, people we've been working with there. I also want to thank 4C, Coalition, Seattle Cares. Just making sure you thank people, celebrating the wins. As you connect and associate with people that are winning, what happens is it kind of sets you in that precedent where you become a winning team. Think about back in the day when I had the bad boys in Detroit, certain they had Kobe with your boy Shaq. They had Michael, Pippen. When you have a dual energy, or you have people you're working with where you're successful, you're able to kind of feed off of that. They're going to push you to a level of success, but also you're going to push them, and you kind of have someone to kind of help support you on your goal and kind of hold you accountable. Really, really important, because I think that kind of keeps you focusing, right? So make sure you celebrate those wins and honor the community. Also, too, family storytelling nights, really, really important. We have different generations, right? We have the boomer generation, Generation X, younger generation. And I think if we have like the storytelling nights, it gives the younger generation opportunity to kind of know a little bit about history of the family lineage, as well as to have an appreciation, but also to maybe create some different types of things moving forward from what they learned from their forefathers. And it's interesting we should share that, because I noticed this past holiday season, we had family that kind of got together, and I was kind of spending time moving, but I kind of tapped in with some of the family members. And it's so interesting how, like, I remember when I was a little kid, kicking it with fam, and all of a sudden I'm becoming one of the elders. It's a really kind of weird feeling, right? It's kind of cool, because it's like the younger people are kind of handling things their way, and you're supporting, but you don't really want to overstep your bounds too. So there's like this push pull type of situation for those other individuals that know I've been kind of taking care of my dad. And so it's like our relationship has kind of tweaked a little bit. But also, storytelling, kind of hearing the story, I'm sharing some things, and we kind of making that connection, right? That appreciation for the lineage of the family, but also infusing your legacy, so you realize kind of why you're here and why it's important for you to kind of continue to race on, right? Really, really important. And so just wanted to say thank you guys. Appreciate that. Make sure you guys remember, holiday shopping is going to be here at Columbia City Theater, December 13th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Together We Thrive Holiday Market. So make sure you guys go check that out. Also, too, coming next, Better Together, Living Powerfully, with Dr. Tracy Harrell. Make sure you guys show her love. And I'm just curious to see, was there anything that I said specifically today as far as us working together with the particular rituals? Is there anything you could try, right? You guys chime in, let me know. I'm curious to see. Just tap in and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I want to do a seasonal altar, right? Meaningful objects, where maybe I put an altar and I focus on some different things I want to do. You guys let me know. Maybe you want to light candles, right? Maybe you want to share a meal, or maybe you want to make sure that you're showing some self-love and drinking more water. Really important. I recommend, if you can, put a little lemon in there. Kind of helps stabilize your body a little bit. Just put a little lemon in the morning, shake it up, some cold water, drink it throughout the day. That's important. What are you doing to nourish yourself, right? Your probiotics, making sure you eat healthy, make sure you cook for yourself. Strength. Remember we talked about the strength, the wisdom, and the care. What are you doing to make yourself a little bit more stronger coming into the new year, right? And what I mean by that is like physically, emotional, psychologically. What are you doing also too to show more wisdom, right? Are you wiser in your actions? Well, how are you moving, right? As we move to the new year, we want to be 1 year smarter, right? So what are you doing to show wisdom? Are you connecting with what I call the Jedi Council, right? People that are wiser than you. Are you able to move with those people, right? What are you doing to show care for yourself as well as the community? If you were to go tomorrow, would you feel like, I accomplished everything I was supposed to do? Would you feel like, I did the best I could? I feel in my spirit that, I did what I could to be the best legacy bringer for my family, as well as myself, as well as my community. If you were to go tomorrow, how would you want to be remembered, right? Do you want to be remembered as somebody that was like, yo, I was positive. I showed love to myself. I was a pillar in the community, or not, right? It's always about a choice. So I just want to say, think about that as you guys move forward. For next month, what are some things we want to talk about? Do you think self-care is important? Do you think we should focus on something else as we look towards the new year? What are we doing as far as bringing in a new year? Typically the new year is celebrating the birth of Jesus, Christ and that type of thing. But what are we doing to show more love to ourselves, as well as our community, as well as our loved ones? The one cool thing about this year is, for me, is it touches my heart to be more open-minded towards having a festive type of atmosphere, right? That holy jolly aspect. What are you doing to be more pleasant to yourself, right? Really, really important. And I think it becomes infectious, right? As you are showing love to yourself and other people, you inspire other people. So what are you doing to inspire other people, right? And I just want you guys to comment. Let me know, hey, am I doing something good to inspire you? Let me know. If there's some other things you'd like to see more inspiration, let me know. I want to say thank you to the guests that came on before. If you guys stepped in, Thought Life, appreciate him being around. He's inspired me to think of some things as well. And he's typically on Monday is the first Monday, I believe the third Monday at 5 to 5:30. So make sure you guys tap into him. Bradley with Thought Life from 5 to 5:30. I think the first and third Mondays. Make sure you guys tap into that. Appreciate that, brothers. He's been getting me thinking about some stuff as well, right? So think about what are some things that you guys can be more grateful for. What are some things that you can show more self-love towards? Looking to hear from you guys next week. But at the end of the day, I want to say appreciate you guys. I want to give you guys a big hug. Without further ado, peace.